Okay, so today we're going to continue with these web pages and our controls, and we're going to create some order forms. So we're going to have to use graphical user interfaces, GUIs, to communicate with the user. The user is going to be typing their name, they're going to be telling us what size of ice cream they want, what flavors, and then we're going to give them buttons to let us know they've done entering the information. Now they want us to process the order. So let's take a look at the HTML. Again, you're not going to be writing this. I've provided you all this information. So you can just use it, copy and paste it, and that's why I want you to understand what it is. So you can see here, the page is going to have lots of input tags. And these inputs are the things that you're going to be seeing on the page. Each input needs to have an ID. So I've called this one a text 1, this one an SM, MED, and large. And each input also has a type. So for example, this input here is a text field, and if it's of type text and it's a text field, and I've called it text 1, so that's the ID. These over here are of type radio, so these are radio buttons, and they each have a name. Now radio buttons work as a group. You can only press one at a time. You can only make one selection, so usually you use radio buttons for selections where you want the user to choose one out of many. Here we have 3 more controls. These are checkboxes. These are type checkbox, and they also have their own ID. Checkboxes allow users to select options, and they can select all of them or they can select neither of them. So these are many out of many choices. Then here again I have another text field. I've called it text2. Not a very good names, but we'll remember what they are. And then I have 2 buttons here. One is a button, a regular button, and the other one is a button called a reset kind of button. Now, it is really important that you realize that all of these have IDs. That's how I can communicate, that's how I can use them from the functions page, the JavaScript. So let's take a look at the events that we're going to be listening to and the event handlers that we need to program. So here for the text field, which is going to be holding the name of the person, we're going to listen to the onBlur event. That's the one that occurs when the user moves out of the field. So we're going to be calling the check name function. And all we want to do is we want to make sure that they gave us their name. We have no functions here. We're not listening to any event here. We just want the users to click and click and click. Here for the second text field, which is going to be the one that provides us with a quantity, how many ice creams they want, we are going to also call the check quantity function when the onBlur event occurs, when the user moves out of the field. Then we have here the button. So if they click on the button, we're going to call the function getOrder. So all these functions, of course, need to be created in a different file. So let's take a look at how this is going to work. So here I have it working. So we have an ice cream form, and let me just reset this. And if I provide it with a name, and I select the size, and maybe I want all 3 flavors, and I want 2 of these, I can say order, and notice I'm going to get an alert that says your order is for Steiger, quantity is 2, size is small, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberries were the sizes selected. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing. Those are what the functions are going to be doing. So let's get back here to take a look at one of the functions that I have written for you to see. So here I have the function check name. So this is the one that we call right here when the user moves out of the field text 1, which is the very first one we're displaying to the user, which is actually, if we take a look at the form, oh, what's my other form? If we look at the form here, let me move this a little bit here, it is this one. So this is text field text 1. So it appears as name because that's what we have here in the HTML. We said name here, and then it has the value text 1. So let's take a look at the code. What is it going to do? So here you can see in the function check name, I need to get the value of that text field. So how do I get access to that? Remember, all these controls, all these elements are in a web page. A web page is a document. We heard last week, we read about the DOM. And so if I want to access a document element, I can say document dot get element by ID, and in quotes I'm going to have the name of the ID, and then I have dot value. So this is going to give me the value of the element that has an ID text 1. So if we go back to the form, we have an ID text 1, and that's the one where the name is going to be saved. So I can get the value for that control, and that's going to show me, that's going to return that value, and I can compare that to blank, to quote. So what I'm asking here, if that text field has no data, no nothing, I'm just going to fire an alert and say, please input a name. And here I have an extra line that I've just placed in there for just to make it look nice. So what's going to happen is if the user moves out of that field, the focus is going to return to that field, so the user can just type it. Okay, so let's see that working. So if I don't put anything here and I try to move here to medium, notice it says please input a name. So that's what you're going to see.